The Let Them Theory audiobook by Mel Robbins. Introduction. Mel Robbins has spent years helping people break through fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. From the 5-second rule to her viral coaching videos, she's become a trusted voice in self-development. And now, she's introducing a radical new way to deal with control, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. The Let Them Theory. At its core, the Let Them Theory is a simple but profound shift in perspective. How often do we exhaust ourselves trying to control outcomes, change people, or force situations to go our way? Mel argues that this struggle drains our energy and steals our peace. Instead, she offers a liberating approach. Just let them. Let people be who they are. Let situations unfold. Let go of the constant need to interfere, fix, or chase. But the Let Them Theory isn't about indifference. It's about empowerment. By embracing this mindset, you reclaim your power, focus on what you can control, and free yourself from unnecessary stress. This book is filled with practical strategies, real-life examples, and deeply personal stories from Mel's own journey of learning to let go. In this audiobook summary, we'll explore the key lessons from the Let Them Theory, breaking down how this mindset can transform your relationships, career, and personal well-being. We'll examine the psychology behind our need for control, the emotional toll it takes, and how adopting the Let Them approach can bring more peace and fulfillment into your life. Hit the subscribe button and let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Power of Letting Go. We all want things to go our way. We want people to behave how we expect, relationships to unfold on our terms, and opportunities to appear when we need them. But life doesn't work that way. And when we try to control everything, we only create stress, frustration, and disappointment. Mel Robbins introduces the Let Them Theory as a revolutionary way to stop exhausting yourself over things you cannot control. The idea is simple. Instead of resisting, forcing, or micromanaging, just let them. Let people make their own decisions. Let events take their course. Let go of what isn't meant for you. But why is this so hard? The illusion of control. From an early age, we are taught that effort equals success. Work harder, push more, and you'll get what you want. This belief creates an illusion of control. We think if we just say the right things, do the right actions, or manipulate situations cleverly enough, we can get the outcome we desire. But Mel reminds us that control is an illusion. No matter how much effort we put in, other people will always have their own thoughts, desires, and free will. You can't control how your partner feels. You can't force a friend to treat you better. You can't demand that an opportunity work out exactly as planned. And when we fight this reality, we suffer. The emotional cost of holding on. Think about a time when you tried to change someone's behavior. Maybe it was a romantic partner who wasn't as affectionate as you wanted. Maybe it was a boss who didn't recognize your worth. Maybe it was a family member who refused to see your perspective. What happened? You probably spent hours overanalyzing their actions, wondering what you did wrong, replaying conversations in your head, and feeling frustrated that things weren't going your way. The more you obsessed, the more emotionally drained you became. This is what Mel calls the trap of control. The more you try to control others, the more powerless you feel. And the more powerless you feel, the more frustrated and anxious you become. The solution? Let them. How letting them changes everything. When you embrace the Let Them Theory, you stop fighting reality. Instead of clinging to the idea that things should be a certain way, you accept what is. If a friend keeps canceling plans, let them. If a coworker takes credit for your work, let them. If someone doesn't like you, let them. At first, this might sound passive or weak, but in reality, it's the most powerful thing you can do. By letting them, you free yourself. You stop wasting energy on people and situations that don't serve you. You shift your focus to what you can control, your own mindset, actions, and emotional well-being. And something incredible happens. You regain peace. The more you let go, the lighter you feel. The less you fight, the more energy you have. You stop chasing approval, forcing relationships, and over-explaining yourself. Instead, you allow people to reveal who they truly are, and you learn to accept it. Learning to let go. Mel shares a deeply personal story about struggling with control in her own life. Early in her career, she constantly sought validation. She wanted her colleagues to admire her bosses to recognize her, and the people around her to give her approval. But no matter how hard she worked, She couldn't control how others perceived her. One day, after a particularly frustrating situation where she felt ignored in a meeting, she broke down. She called a mentor, venting about how unfair it was that people didn't listen to her ideas. Her mentor responded with a simple phrase, "Let them." At first, she resisted, but over time, she realized that constantly trying to prove herself was exhausting. Instead of fighting for validation, she shifted her focus inward, doing work that fulfilled her rather than seeking approval. And everything changed. She felt lighter, more confident, free. The first step, awareness. The first step in applying the let them theory is awareness. Start paying attention to the moments when you feel frustrated or stuck. Ask yourself, am I trying to control something I can't? Am I resisting reality instead of accepting it? What would happen if I simply let them? The moment you recognize that you're holding on too tightly, you have a choice. You can keep pushing, or you can let go. And when you let go, you take back your power. The freedom of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing. It means you stop carrying the emotional weight of things that aren't yours to carry. When you practice the let them theory, you start feeling lighter. You focus on what truly matters, your own peace, happiness, and growth. And that is where your power lies. So, the next time you feel the urge to control, ask yourself, what if I just let them? Chapter 2. Why we struggle to let go. Even though the let them theory sounds simple, actually applying it is hard. We know that letting go would bring us more peace, yet we still cling. Why? Mel Robbins explains that our struggle with letting go is rooted in 3 major fears. 1. The fear of losing control. 2. The fear of rejection and abandonment. 3. The fear of being wrong. These fears keep us gripping onto things long after we should have let go. They make us chase people, argue with reality, and fight battles that leave us emotionally exhausted. Let's break these down one by one. 1. The fear of losing control. Most of us believe that if we just try hard enough, we can make things go our way. We think we can change people's minds, force opportunities to happen, or steer relationships in the direction we want. But in reality, control is an illusion. Mel shares the story of a friend who was constantly frustrated by her teenage son. She wanted him to be more responsible, to text her back right away, to make better choices. She would lecture him, punish him, try different parenting techniques, yet nothing worked. One day, she broke down in frustration. "Why won't he just listen to me?" she asked Mel. Mel's response, "Let him." The friend was shocked. Let him? That felt like giving up. But Mel explained, trying to control him wasn't working anyway. Letting go didn't mean she stopped parenting. It meant she stopped fighting a battle she could never win. Instead of trying to force him into obedience, she focused on what she could control, being a supportive mother, setting clear boundaries, and letting him learn from his own mistakes. Over time, their relationship improved. Her son began to take more responsibility, not because she forced him to, but because he was allowed to experience the consequences of his own actions. Lesson: the more we try to control others, the more resistance we create. But when we let them be who they are, we make space for real change. 2. The fear of rejection and abandonment. One of the biggest reasons we cling to people who don't treat us well is the fear of rejection. We think, if I let them go, what if nobody else comes? What if I end up alone? Mel describes a woman she coached who was stuck in a toxic relationship. Her boyfriend was emotionally distant, unreliable, and dismissive of her feelings. Yet, she kept making excuses for him. She would overanalyze his texts, replay conversations in her head, and do everything she could to make him change. Deep down, she was terrified that if she let him go, she would never find someone better. Mel's advice? Let him. If someone is showing you who they are, believe them. If they are being distant, unkind, or inconsistent, let them. When you stop chasing the wrong people, you make room for the right ones. At first, the woman resisted. But when she finally embraced the let them theory, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She stopped begging for attention, stopped justifying bad behavior, and started focusing on herself. And guess what? When she finally let him go, she found peace. Lesson: rejection is not a reflection of your worth, it's just redirection. When someone pulls away, let them. It's making space for something better. 3. The fear of being wrong. Have you ever stayed in a bad situation longer than you should have because you didn't want to admit you made a mistake? Maybe it was a relationship, a job, or a friendship that was clearly not working, but you kept holding on because you had invested so much time. You thought, if I walk away now, it means I wasted years of my life. Mel calls this the sunk cost trap. She shares the story of a man who spent a decade in a career he hated. He had gone to law school, spent years climbing the corporate ladder, and was making a great salary. But he was miserable. Every morning, he dreaded going to work. Yet, he couldn't let go. Why? Because if he admitted he had made the wrong career choice, he feared it would mean all those years were wasted. Mel told him, let them. Let those years go. Let the past be the past. Stop trying to justify staying in a miserable situation just because you've been there a long time. After much hesitation, he finally made the leap. He quit his job and started a business doing something he loved. And for the first time in years, he felt alive again. Lesson: just because you've invested time in something doesn't mean you have to keep investing. The moment you realize something isn't right for you, letting go is the right decision, no matter how long you've been holding on. The freedom that comes with letting go. When we stop fearing loss, rejection, and being wrong, we gain something far more valuable: peace. If someone doesn't want to be in your life, let them. If an opportunity isn't working out, let it go. If you realize you've made the wrong choice, change direction. Holding on to the wrong things only delays your happiness. The faster you let go, the sooner you can move forward. The next time you feel resistance, frustration, or stress, ask yourself, what if I just let them? Because when you do, you'll discover that letting go isn't losing, it's winning. Chapter 3: How to actually let them. Now that we understand why we struggle to let go, the next question is, how do we actually do it? It's one thing to say, just let them, but when emotions are involved, it's not always that simple. Letting go isn't just a decision, it's a skill. Mel Robbins lays out a step-by-step process for truly embracing the let them theory and freeing yourself from the mental and emotional traps that keep you stuck. Step 1. Recognize what you can and can't control. The first step to letting go is understanding where your power ends. Ask yourself, what do I have control over in this situation? What am I trying to control that I actually can't? For example, you can't control whether someone likes you back, but you can control how you respond. You can't control if your boss promotes you, but you can control how much effort you put into your work. You can't control whether a friend treats you with respect, but you can control whether you keep them in your life. The moment you stop fighting to control things that were never yours to control, you instantly feel lighter. Step 2. Shift from resistance to acceptance. Most of our suffering comes from resisting reality. We wish people were different. We argue with the truth. We replay conversations, thinking, if only I had said this, maybe things would have turned out differently. But wishing things were different doesn't make them different. Mel suggests practicing a powerful mindset shift. Stop resisting. Start accepting. Instead of why won't they change, try they are who they are. Let them. Instead of why did this happen to me, try this happened. Now what's next? When you stop resisting and start accepting, you take your power back. Step 3. Set clear boundaries. Letting them doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean allowing people to walk all over you. It means recognizing what you will and won't tolerate. Mel's rule: let them be who they are, and let yourself be who you are. This means, if someone consistently disrespects you, you don't have to argue. You just stop engaging. If a person won't meet your needs in a relationship, you don't have to beg. You just walk away. If an opportunity isn't working out, you don't have to force it. You just move on. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about deciding what you will allow in your life. Step 4. Stop chasing, start attracting. One of the most powerful shifts Mel teaches is to stop chasing and start attracting. If you're chasing love, friendships, or approval, you're giving your power away. If you're constantly trying to prove yourself to others, you're reinforcing the idea that you're not enough as you are. The people, opportunities, and experiences that are truly meant for you will not require endless chasing. Mel's challenge to you: instead of begging for attention, give it to yourself. Instead of over-explaining yourself, let your actions speak. Instead of forcing people to choose you, choose yourself first. When you let go of desperate energy, you become magnetic. The right people and opportunities will naturally find you. Step 5. Trust that letting go creates space for better things. The final and hardest step in the let them theory is trusting that when you let go, something better is on the way. Mel reminds us, you can't receive new blessings while clinging to old baggage. That friend who keeps disappointing you? Let them go. Better friendships will come. That job that drains you? Let it go. A better opportunity is waiting. That relationship that feels like a constant struggle? Let them go. The right person will never make you beg for love. The only thing standing between you and the life you truly want is your willingness to release what no longer serves you. The moment everything changes. Imagine waking up tomorrow with zero attachment to things you can't control. No more chasing. No more stressing about other people's choices. No more wasting energy trying to force what isn't meant for you. Instead, you focus all your energy on yourself, your peace, your joy, your growth. That's the power of the let them theory. And the moment you truly embrace it, your entire life will change. Chapter 4. The Freedom of Letting Them. By now, you understand the core idea of the let them theory. Stop trying to control others, let go of what isn't meant for you, and reclaim your energy. But what happens next? Once you start applying this mindset, something incredible shifts. You feel free. This chapter is all about what life looks like when you truly embrace letting them, and why this simple mindset can be the key to unlocking peace, success, and happiness. Why letting them feels like a superpower. Most people live in a constant state of frustration because they are always trying to control things outside of their reach. They stress over what others think. They waste energy trying to change people. They fight against situations that they should just walk away from. But when you fully commit to the let them theory, everything changes. You feel lighter. Instead of carrying the weight of other people's decisions, you free yourself. You feel calmer. No more exhausting emotional battles over things you can't change. You feel powerful. You finally focus on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your future. Mel Robbins describes this shift as instant relief. It's like dropping a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. The 3 areas where letting go changes your life. 1. Relationships become effortless. Before the let them theory, you probably found yourself in endless push-pull dynamics with people, chasing friendships that never felt reciprocated, over-explaining yourself to people who never tried to understand you, clinging to relationships that made you question your worth. But once you embrace letting them, all of that changes. The people who truly care about you will stay. You won't have to chase them. The people who don't match your energy will naturally fade away. No need for dramatic goodbyes. You stop feeling exhausted by others because you're no longer trying to manage their choices. Mel's reminder: the right relationships don't require force. They flow. When you stop chasing, the right people will find you. 2. You stop holding yourself back in life. Mel shares a powerful truth. So many people are afraid to go after what they truly want because they're scared of what others will think. You don't apply for the job because what if they say no? You don't start the business because what if people don't support you? You don't set boundaries because what if someone gets upset? But here's the thing. What people think is none of your business. Let them judge. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand you. Your job is not to control their opinions. Your job is to do what's best for you anyway. Once you stop worrying about what others think, you gain the courage to actually chase your dreams. 3. You attract more opportunities. Here's the irony. The moment you stop forcing things to happen, they start happening naturally. Instead of begging for a promotion, your confidence gets you noticed. Instead of clinging to a failing relationship, you make space for real love. Instead of stressing over social approval, you become magnetic just by being yourself. Mel explains that letting them isn't just about relationships, it's about energy. When you shift from force to flow, life starts working in your favor. The right doors open. The right people enter your life. The right opportunities show up effortlessly. From fear to trust. At the heart of the let them theory is trust. Trust that if something is meant for you, it will stay. Trust that letting go will make space for something better. Trust that you don't have to control everything to create a great life. Most people live in fear. Fear of losing, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But the ones who thrive, they trust. Mel's challenge to you. Next time you catch yourself stressing over something outside of your control, pause and say, let them, and then watch what happens. What happens when you fully embrace this? The moment you commit to this mindset, life transforms. Your relationships become easier. No more forcing connections. You stop overthinking. No more exhausting mental loops. You feel at peace. No more trying to control what isn't yours to control. The result? You feel free. And that is what the let them theory is really about. Chapter 5. Boundaries versus control. Many people misunderstand the difference between setting boundaries and trying to control others. They believe that standing up for themselves, saying no, or distancing themselves from unhealthy situations means they are trying to exert control. But in reality, boundaries are about self-respect, while control is about trying to change someone else's behavior. When you embrace the let them theory, you allow people to be who they are, but that doesn't mean you have to tolerate behavior that harms or drains you. Boundaries are not about limiting others. They are about protecting your peace and ensuring that your relationships are built on mutual respect. The key difference between boundaries and control. Control is about making someone act a certain way. Boundaries are about deciding how you will respond if they don't. Control says, you can't talk to me like that. Boundaries say, if you continue to speak to me this way, I will remove myself from the conversation. Control says, you need to show up on time. Boundaries say, if you are consistently late, I will make plans without you. Trying to control others creates resistance. Setting boundaries creates freedom for you and for them. It removes the pressure to force people to meet your expectations and instead allows them to show up as they are. If their behavior does not align with your values or needs, you can make the necessary adjustments without feeling guilt or resentment. Why setting boundaries feels hard. Many struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection, guilt, or confrontation. They worry that if they set limits, they will lose relationships or be seen as difficult. But failing to set boundaries leads to resentment, exhaustion, and emotional burnout. Mel Robbins shares a story about a woman who felt constantly drained by her friends' negativity. Every conversation turned into a venting session, leaving her emotionally exhausted. She wanted to support her friend, but also needed to protect her own peace. Instead of trying to control the friend's behavior by demanding more positive conversations, she set a boundary. She limited their calls and gently steered conversations toward productive topics. Over time, the friendship either had to adapt or fade. Another example comes from the workplace. A man who always stayed late at the office, hoping for recognition, realized that his constant availability was being taken for granted. He set a boundary. He stopped answering emails after work hours. At first, he feared that his boss would be upset, but over time, his colleagues adjusted, and he gained more respect for valuing his time. How to set healthy boundaries without feeling guilty. 1. Be clear and direct. Say what you need without over-explaining. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. 2. Stop feeling responsible for others' reactions. If someone gets upset because you set a boundary, that is their emotion to manage, not yours. 3. Follow through. Boundaries mean nothing if they are not enforced. If you say you won't tolerate a behavior, you must act accordingly when it happens. 4. Release the need for approval. Not everyone will like your boundaries, but the people who truly value you will respect them. 5. Recognize that boundaries improve relationships. The healthiest relationships exist when both people feel safe and respected. Boundaries create that foundation. 6. Practice self-reflection. Ask yourself where in your life you feel resentment or frustration. Those are often the areas where boundaries need to be set. The power of letting go. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care, not control. It allows you to let people be who they are while protecting your own well-being. Instead of trying to control how others act, you focus on how you respond. This shift leads to more fulfilling relationships, less frustration, and a greater sense of personal peace. When you stop trying to control others and instead set clear boundaries, you become stronger, calmer, and more confident. You realize that the most powerful thing you can do is let people be who they are and choose how you engage with them. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that setting a boundary is an act of selfishness. In reality, it is an act of self-respect. Boundaries protect your time, energy, and emotions. They create relationships that are based on mutual understanding rather than obligation. When you set boundaries, you are not telling people how to behave. You are telling them what behavior you will and will not accept in your life. You are giving yourself permission to prioritize your well-being, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Chapter 6. Letting them in love and relationships. Relationships are one of the areas where people struggle the most with control. Whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, or a family member, many people believe that if they love someone, they should be able to influence their actions. But real love is not about control. It is about acceptance, respect, and allowing the other person to be who they are. Why we try to control the people we love. Many people grow up believing that love means shaping or guiding another person's behavior. If a partner doesn't call enough, they try to make them more attentive. If a friend doesn't show up the way they expect, they push for change. If a family member makes choices they don't agree with, they try to convince them to do things differently. This need for control often comes from a place of fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, or fear of being hurt. But love built on control is not real love. It is conditional love. It says, I will love you as long as you behave the way I want. Real love says, I love you even when you make choices I don't understand. The pain of trying to change someone. Mel Robbins shares a story about a woman who spent years trying to get her boyfriend to commit. She planned romantic getaways, read relationship advice, and constantly adjusted her behavior to be more appealing. But no matter what she did, he remained emotionally distant. She believed that if she just found the right way to communicate, she could get him to change. But in reality, he was showing her exactly who he was. Someone who wasn't ready for a deep commitment. One day, she had a realization. What if I just let him? Instead of trying to change him, she let him be who he was. She stopped pushing for more, stopped analyzing his every move, and stopped trying to fix the relationship. And in that space, she saw the truth. He wasn't the right person for her. Letting him be himself meant accepting that he wasn't capable of giving her what she needed, and that she deserved better. Letting people show you who they are. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself in relationships is to stop assuming people will change. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. If a partner is emotionally unavailable, let them be. If a friend is unreliable, let them be. If a family member makes decisions you wouldn't make, let them be. Letting them doesn't mean tolerating behavior that hurts you. It means accepting reality instead of fighting it. When you stop trying to control others, you gain clarity about whether or not the relationship aligns with your needs. How letting them improves relationships. 1. You stop playing emotional tug-of-war. When you try to force someone to change, it creates resistance. They pull away, you push harder, and the cycle continues. When you let them be, you remove the struggle. People either step up naturally or they fade away, and either way, you get your answer. 2. You gain a true connection, not a forced one. Real relationships thrive on mutual choice, not obligation. When you allow someone to be themselves, you see if they choose to meet you where you are. If they don't, it means they aren't the right fit. 3. You make space for the right people. Every time you hold on to the wrong relationship, you block the right one from entering your life. Letting go of the people who don't align with you opens space for people who do. The power of self-respect in relationships. Letting them is not just about releasing control over others. It is about strengthening your relationship with yourself. If someone doesn't appreciate you, let them. You don't need to prove your worth. If someone treats you poorly, let them. You don't need to convince them to respect you. If someone doesn't want to stay, let them. You don't need to beg for love. Love is not about holding on tighter. It is about trusting that the right people will stay. And when you stop trying to control who stays, you realize that the only person you ever needed to hold on to was yourself. Chapter 7. The Let Them approach to work and success. In professional life, people often struggle with control. Whether it's dealing with difficult coworkers, trying to gain recognition, or feeling frustrated by office politics, many spend their careers exhausting themselves over things outside of their control. But the Let Them theory offers a different path, one that leads to more success, less stress, and greater professional fulfillment. Letting go of the need for approval. One of the biggest workplace stressors is the desire for validation. Employees often tie their self-worth to praise from a boss, acceptance from a team, or acknowledgement of their efforts. But Mel Robbins challenges this mindset. What if you stopped seeking approval and just focused on doing great work? Instead of worrying about who gets credit, let them. Instead of chasing constant recognition, let them. When you stop obsessing over validation, you become more confident, focused, and effective. The best way to earn respect is not by demanding it, but by showing up consistently and delivering results. Dealing with difficult people. In every workplace, there will be coworkers who are rude, lazy, or toxic. Many people waste energy trying to change them, convince them to work harder, or get them to be more supportive. But the truth is, you cannot force professionalism or maturity onto others. The best thing you can do is set boundaries and focus on your own actions. If a coworker refuses to pull their weight, let them. Instead of resenting them, focus on your own contributions. If someone spreads negativity, let them. Do not engage in gossip or office drama. If a boss overlooks your contributions, let them. Keep excelling and know that the right opportunities will come. This mindset doesn't mean being passive. It means refusing to waste energy on battles that do not serve you. When you stop fighting for fairness and start focusing on your own growth, you position yourself for greater opportunities. Letting go of toxic work environments. Sometimes, the best way to embrace the let them theory in your career is to recognize when a workplace is no longer serving you. Many people stay in unhealthy jobs out of fear of change, fear of financial instability, or fear of failure. But staying in a toxic environment will cost you far more in the long run than taking a risk to find something better. Mel shares a story of a man who stayed in a stressful corporate job for years, despite constant burnout. He convinced himself that if he just worked harder, things would improve. But no matter what he did, the toxic culture remained the same. The moment he embraced let them, he realized that the company wasn't going to change, but he could. He left and built a career that aligned with his values. And for the first time in years, he felt free. If a job doesn't value you, let them. If an employer underpays and overworks you, let them. Then walk away and find something that does align with your worth. The opportunities you want are often waiting just beyond your fear of letting go. Success comes from letting go of control. The most successful people are not the ones who micromanage everything or obsess over minor setbacks. They are the ones who understand what they can and cannot control. They let rejection be a redirection. They let competition push them to be better instead of making them insecure. They let people misunderstand them rather than exhausting themselves trying to explain. The secret to long-term success is knowing when to push forward and when to step back. When you stop wasting energy on things beyond your control, you have more energy to focus on the things that truly matter: your goals, your skills, and your future. When you stop trying to force success, you often find that it starts coming to you naturally. Chapter 8. The Science Behind Acceptance and Peace. Letting go is not just a philosophical concept. It is backed by psychology and neuroscience. Research shows that clinging to control, resisting change, and obsessing over other people's actions trigger stress, anxiety, and even physical health problems. On the other hand, acceptance leads to lower stress levels, increased emotional resilience, and a greater sense of peace. How the brain reacts to control versus acceptance. The human brain is wired for survival, which is why uncertainty and lack of control often trigger stress responses. When we try to control things that are beyond our reach, our brain perceives it as a threat, activating the fight or flight response. This leads to heightened cortisol levels, increased anxiety, and mental exhaustion. Studies have shown that practicing acceptance, mindfulness, and detachment rewires the brain. When we consciously decide to let go, the brain shifts from stress mode to problem-solving mode. Instead of reacting emotionally, we begin to think more rationally and calmly, allowing us to make better decisions. The link between letting go and emotional well-being. Mel Robbins explains that the most peaceful people are not the ones who have perfect lives, but the ones who have learned to let go. They do not waste energy worrying about things they cannot change. Instead, they focus on what they can control, how they respond, how they spend their time, and what they allow into their lives. Psychologists have found that acceptance is one of the key traits of emotionally resilient people. When faced with disappointment or loss, those who accept reality rather than resist it recover faster and experience less emotional suffering. They do not suppress their emotions, but they also do not dwell on what they cannot change. The impact on physical health. Chronic stress caused by control issues can have severe effects on the body, including high blood pressure, insomnia, weakened immune system, increased risk of heart disease, digestive problems. On the other hand, people who adopt an acceptance-based mindset experience lower stress levels, better sleep, improved immune function, and a longer lifespan. Letting go is not just good for the mind, it is good for the body. Practicing the let them mindset in everyday life. 1. Identify what you cannot control. Before reacting, ask yourself, is this something I can change, or do I need to let it go? 2. Use mindfulness to stay present. Anxiety thrives on focusing on the past or future. Ground yourself in the present moment. 3. Reframe challenges as lessons. Instead of seeing difficulties as unfair, view them as opportunities to grow. 4. Practice detachment. Remind yourself that what others do is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. 5. Breathe and release. When you feel the urge to control, take a deep breath and say, "Let them." The power of surrendering control. When you accept that you cannot force people to change, make everything go your way, or predict the future, you gain freedom. You free yourself from unnecessary stress, anxiety, and disappointment. You allow life to unfold naturally. By embracing acceptance, you create more space for happiness, joy, and clarity. You realize that peace is not something you find, it is something you choose. And every time you let go of control, you are choosing peace. Chapter 9. Making Let Them a Daily Habit. Letting go of control is not a one-time decision. It is a practice. To truly embrace the let them theory, you must make it a daily habit. That means catching yourself in moments of resistance, shifting your mindset, and choosing peace over control every single day. Recognizing when you're holding on too tightly. The first step in making let them a habit is recognizing the triggers that make you feel the need to control others. Pay attention to when you feel frustrated by someone else's choices, when you catch yourself over-explaining, over-apologizing, or overanalyzing, when you feel anxious because things are not going the way you planned, when you spend time trying to convince someone to see things your way. These moments are signals that you are resisting rather than accepting. The more aware you become, the easier it is to shift your reaction, reframing situations in real time. Every time you feel the urge to control, pause and ask yourself, can I actually change this, or do I need to let it go? Is this really worth my peace? What if I just let them? By shifting from reaction to reflection, you take back control, not over others, but over yourself. Setting intentions for letting go. Each morning, set an intention to approach the day with the let them mindset. Remind yourself, I will allow people to be who they are without trying to change them. I will focus on what I can control, my attitude, my actions, and my peace. I will not waste energy on things outside my control. When you start the day with this mindset, you are less likely to fall into old habits of frustration and control, creating space for what matters. Letting go is not just about reducing stress. It is about making room for the things that truly matter. The energy you once spent on control can now be redirected toward strengthening your self-confidence, pursuing goals that bring you joy and fulfillment, deepening the relationships that naturally align with your values. By letting go of what drains you, you make space for what fuels you, building resilience through letting go. There will be days when embracing let them feels easy and days when it feels impossible. But like any habit, it strengthens with practice. Over time, you will notice that situations that once upset you no longer have the same power. You will feel lighter, more centered, and in control of your own peace. The true power of the let them theory is not just in knowing it, it is in living it. And when you do, you create a life that is not ruled by resistance, but by freedom. Conclusion, your new superpower. The let them theory is not just a strategy, it is a way of life. It is the decision to release control, let go of unnecessary frustration, and focus on what truly matters. It is the realization that peace is found in acceptance, not resistance. The key lessons of letting go. 1. You cannot control other people, only how you respond to them. 2. Letting go is an act of strength, not weakness. 3. The more you resist reality, the more you suffer. 4. Boundaries are about self-respect, not controlling others. 5. Letting go creates space for the right people, opportunities, and experiences. 6. The best way to attract what you want is to stop chasing what is not meant for you. 7. Peace comes from trusting that what is meant for you will always find you. Your challenge: live the let them theory. Starting today, apply this mindset in every aspect of your life. If someone does not appreciate you, let them. If a situation is not working out, let it go. If a relationship is causing more pain than joy, release it. If an opportunity is not aligning with your values, walk away. The moment you stop forcing, chasing, and controlling, you will discover something incredible. Life flows better when you let it. People show you who they really are when you stop trying to change them. And most importantly, you finally reclaim your energy, your peace, and your power. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about choosing yourself. And that is the real magic of the Let Them theory.
If this book inspired you, you can get your own copy. Link in the description. Subscribe now for more life-changing book summaries.